The vanishing. It was the morning after Emily's 18th birthday when I realized something was wrong. The house was quiet, too quiet. Her bed was still made, untouched since the night before, and her phone was gone. I assumed she'd gone out early, maybe for a drive or to meet her friend Megan for breakfast. But when noon passed, then 2, then 5, I started to panic. Maybe she just lost track of time, my husband Dan said, trying to soothe me. But I saw the concern in his eyes. By 8 p.m., we were calling every friend, every place we could think of. No one had seen her. Her car was missing, her room untouched. The next day, we called the police. They asked the usual questions. Was she troubled? Had she run away before? Were there any fights at home? I wanted to scream. No, she wasn't troubled. She was a teenager with dreams. She wanted to go to college, become a graphic designer. She wasn't perfect, but she was mine, and now she was gone. A week later, her car was found abandoned near a bus station in St. Louis. The keys were still in the ignition. Her backpack was in the trunk, but there was no sign of Emily. No fingerprints, no witnesses, nothing, just emptiness. I plunged into a darkness I never thought possible. The house, once filled with teenage music, slammed doors, and laughter, became a mausoleum of silence. I left her room untouched. Every morning I opened the door, hoping she'd be sitting there, annoyed that I interrupted her. Dan and I grew apart. We tried to support each other, but grief does strange things to people. He wanted to move on. I couldn't. He started sleeping on the couch. Then one day, he stopped coming home at all. I quit my job. I spent my days creating flyers, organizing searches, pleading with the police to reopen leads. I became obsessed with missing persons cases. I joined online forums, drove to places where sightings were reported, even when they made no sense. Once, I drove to Arkansas because someone thought they saw her at a diner. It wasn't her, but I stayed in that town for 2 days, just in case. Months turned into years. 5 years in, I started to lose hope. I stopped updating the Facebook page. I boxed up her things, but couldn't bring myself to donate them. I talked to her picture sometimes, just to remember the sound of my own voice. 10 years. That's how long it was. 10 birthdays, 10 Christmases, 10 empty seats at the table, and then a knock. It was a Tuesday, the kind where the sky hangs low and gray, and everything feels heavy. I was in the kitchen making tea when I heard it. A soft knock, like someone unsure they were welcome. When I opened the door, I saw her. Emily, my Emily, standing there, older, thinner, her hair longer and damp from the drizzle. In her arms was a child, a boy, maybe 5 or 6, staring at me with wide, cautious eyes. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. My knees buckled and I grabbed the doorframe. "Mom," she said, her voice cracked, dry from the cold. "Emily?" I whispered. The name tasted like a memory. She nodded. I stepped forward, wrapped my arms around her, and we both sank to the ground, crying. The boy was crushed between us, but she didn't let go. Neither did I. Inside, I made her tea. She sat in her old chair at the kitchen table, the boy on her lap. He didn't speak, just clung to her. "His name is Leo," she said. "He's my son." I wanted to ask 1,000 questions. Where had she been? Who took her? How had she escaped? Why didn't she call? But I said nothing. Not yet. Instead, I said, "You're home. That's all that matters." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. In the days that followed, we settled into a strange rhythm. Emily barely spoke. She jumped at sudden sounds. She slept with the lights on. Leo rarely left her side. He was terrified of being in a room alone. I tried to make things normal. I cooked her favorite meals, left out clothes from storage. I reopened her childhood room, untouched for 10 years. It smelled like old books and dust. She slept there the first night, curled around Leo like a shield. I didn't ask questions. I waited. One night I found her on the porch. She was staring at the sky, wrapped in an old blanket. "I used to count stars," she said. "When I was there, I couldn't see any, just wood, walls, darkness." I sat beside her, silent. "Do you want to know?" she asked. "Only if you want to tell me." She looked at me, and for the first time, I saw the girl I remembered. "I do, but not tonight. Soon." I nodded. She leaned her head on my shoulder. We sat like that until the sky began to lighten. The return. The days after Emily's return passed in a strange, dreamlike rhythm. Each morning I woke with a tight chest, fearing I'd imagined it all. But every day, there she was, in the kitchen, sipping tea, brushing Leo's hair with trembling fingers, folding the same laundry I once folded for her. The silence between us was heavy. There were moments she seemed ready to speak, to pour out the horrors and years and everything between us. But then she'd close off again. Her shoulders would tense, her mouth would set, and the wall would return. Leo was quieter still. He refused to sleep alone. When I tried to read to him, he flinched if I raised my voice even slightly. Loud sounds made him cry. The only place he felt safe was right beside Emily. I gave them space. I wanted to press for answers, but I remembered the advice of the therapist I had spoken to years ago, when I was just a mother learning to grieve. Let her talk when she's ready, not a moment sooner. 2 weeks passed before Emily was ready. We were sitting on the back porch where we used to drink iced tea in summer and talk about school, boys, art. Now it was autumn. The air was crisp. She had a blanket around her shoulders and a mug between her hands. "I want to tell you," she said. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were distant. "Everything," I nodded. My hands were clenched in my lap. I didn't interrupt. "That night," she began, "I was driving home from Megan's. We stayed up late watching movies. My car stalled just outside of Oak Ridge Road. It was nearly midnight. I didn't want to wake you, so I called a tow truck. Or at least I thought I did. A man pulled over in a pickup truck, said his name was Thomas. He seemed harmless, older, clean-shaven. He wore a church bracelet on his wrist. He offered to take me to a gas station. I got in. She looked at me, eyes full of shame. He didn't take me to a gas station. He drove into the woods. I realized too late. I screamed, but the windows were up. No one heard. Tears spilled down her cheeks, but her voice never wavered. He kept me in a cabin, remote, no windows, just bars. I think it was soundproofed. He had cameras in every corner. I couldn't escape. At first, I resisted. I fought, screamed, begged. He hit me, starved me. Then, after I tried to escape once, he broke my leg. She stopped and took a shaking breath. After that, I stopped fighting. I survived. That was all I could do. I reached for her hand. She let me hold it. Years passed. He let me outside sometimes, but only in a fenced yard. I never saw anyone, never heard a plane or car. I didn't even know what year it was. I stopped counting birthdays. Then I got pregnant. Her voice cracked. She looked away. Leo is his son. A pause. My heart clenched. I tried to protect him as best I could. He wasn't violent with the baby. I think he liked the idea of a family. He made us sit at dinner together, He talked about God and punishment and devotion. Then one morning, he didn't wake up. Just like that. A heart attack, I think. He was in the kitchen, holding his chest, gasping. He collapsed. I couldn't speak. My throat had closed. I waited 3 days. I didn't believe it. When I was sure, I took Leo, packed what I could, and ran. We walked for hours before I found a road. I hitched rides. I didn't know where we were, but I knew I wanted to come home. She turned to me, and now we're here. In the following weeks, we took cautious steps. I contacted a trauma specialist. Emily agreed to go. The first session drained her. She slept for 12 hours after, but she went back. Again and again. Leo began therapy too. He didn't speak at first. Then one day, he drew a picture. It was our house, with 3 stick figures and a dog. We didn't have a dog, but I told him we could get one someday. The next week, he spoke. "Grandma," he said, just like that, as if he'd always known the word. I cried. He looked confused. Then he hugged me. Emily began to change, slowly. She cut her hair. She started reading again. She began helping Leo with his letters. Her voice got louder. She laughed more. She still had nightmares, still jumped at loud noises, but she was healing. There were legal hurdles. We reported everything to the authorities. They opened a case, found the cabin, found his name, Thomas Gerald Whitmore. No record, no priors, a ghost. But the investigation would take time. They warned us it might be years before anything came of it. We didn't wait on justice. We focused on recovery. One day, as we sat folding laundry, Emily looked up. "I want to go back to school. I want to study social work, help other girls like me." I felt pride swell in my chest. "Then we'll make it happen," I said. She smiled. This time, it reached her eyes. The healing, 2 years passed. If someone had told me that healing could feel both impossibly slow and incredibly fast, I wouldn't have believed them. But that's exactly what it was like, a strange duality, like watching flowers grow and lightning strike at the same time. Emily enrolled in a local community college. Her first day, she called me 3 times before she even stepped inside the building. "You don't have to do it all at once," I reminded her. "I know," she said, "but I want to. I need to." She studied social work. At night, she devoured textbooks and wrote papers with an intensity I hadn't seen in her since before she disappeared. I often caught her asleep on the couch with a highlighter still in her hand. Leo thrived. He made friends. He loved dinosaurs, space, and peanut butter. He started speech therapy and began reading chapter books. He still had moments of fear, nightmares that sent him crawling into Emily's bed at midnight, or sudden panic in crowded places. But he was growing into himself, slowly but surely. He started calling me Grandma openly. One day, I asked him if he remembered where they had lived before they came here. He shook his head. There was a room. Mommy was always there. The man said not to leave. But I don't like him. I like it here better. So did I. Emily still had bad days. Some days she wouldn't get out of bed. Some days she'd leave the house and not tell me where she was going. She'd return hours later, pale and quiet. Therapy helped, but trauma leaves scars no one else can see. "I feel like I lost everything," she said once, curled up on the porch. "You didn't lose everything," I told her. "You're here. You have Leo. You have me. That's a start." She nodded, wiping her eyes. "You never stopped looking for me." Never. That night, she held my hand. We watched the stars return. She was making new memories under them now. One morning, we adopted a dog, a goofy golden retriever mix named Maple. Leo was ecstatic. Emily was hesitant at first, but Maple won her over with loyalty and an uncanny ability to sense when she was upset. The dog slept at the foot of her bed, never far from either of them. Emily made a speech at her community college graduation. It was short, but powerful. "I disappeared for 10 years, she began, but I'm not lost anymore. And to anyone else who thinks the world has forgotten you, I promise, someone is still looking." The auditorium was silent. Then the applause started. I cried the whole time. The detective working her case called occasionally. The investigation was still open, but without anyone to prosecute, there wasn't much to do. Thomas Whitmore had died before justice could reach him. "Does it bother you," I asked her once, "that he never faced what he did to you?" She thought for a long moment. "I used to wish he'd rot in prison. Now I just hope he's not haunting my dreams anymore." Leo started first grade. He brought home a drawing of a house with a sun and flowers and stick figures. He pointed to each one. "This is Mommy. This is me. This is Grandma. This is Maple. And this is Daddy in the sky." Emily looked at me, startled. "Did you tell him?" "No," I said. "I think he knows what he needs to know." We didn't correct him. Some truths are too heavy for children. Some truths even adults carry like stones. One Sunday, we held a backyard picnic. Emily made sandwiches, Leo picked dandelions, and Maple chased butterflies. The sun was warm, and the breeze carried laughter like music. "I never thought I'd have this again," I said. Emily smiled. "Me neither." We watched Leo pretend to be a dinosaur, roaring at the dog, who barked in confusion. "Do you think it's okay to be happy now?" she asked quietly. "Yes," I said. "I think it's what we both deserve." There are still nights when I wake in a panic, heart racing, half expecting her room to be empty again. But then I hear Leo's laugh, Maple's bark, or the creak of floorboards as Emily walks past my door. She came back. She survived. And together we rebuilt something beautiful from the ruins. Not the same as before, but maybe something even stronger. This is our story, not defined by what was taken, but by what we found again. Home, family, hope.